From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Thursday, November the 7th, 2019. A delegation of Democratic and Republican Congresswomen is in Israel this week to show that support for Israel is bipartisan. Speaking to the Times of Israel today, Florida Democrat Debbie Wasserman Schultz said the group had met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Blue and White Party leader Benny Gantz, and with former chief Palestinian negotiator Saeb Erekat, saying it was heartwarming to hear how similar they sounded. She said all three, while disagreeing on the details, indicated that they recognize that there is no other option than two peoples living side by side in peace. When asked if there were concerns in Israel over statements from some Democratic presidential candidates suggesting they would consider leveraging U.S. military aid in order to force Israel to change its policies on settlements and the Palestinians, Wasserman Schultz said quite the contrary. The message given to us, particularly from Prime Minister Netanyahu, is that he does not perceive or believe that there is any erosion of support. She said both the Democratic and Republican parties support Israel as a Jewish democratic state, stressing that the delegation's purpose was to demonstrate there is no daylight between the two U.S. parties on the strength of the U.S.-Israel relationship. The delegation also includes Congresswomen Bonnie Watson-Coleman, Brenda Lawrence, Angie Craig, Mickey Sherrill, Susie Lee, and Martha Roby. And Jewish Democratic Representative Jerrold Nadler spoke out this week against the idea of conditioning U.S. aid to Israel. Nadler was asked by the Jewish Insider this week about support for such a position, to which the veteran congressman replied, "I think it's wrong." He said the Israelis need the U.S. aid for defense. Whether we approve or disapprove of specific policies, Nadler said, we shouldn't use military aid as a pressure point on specific policies because Israel's security is paramount. The leaders of the Conference of Presidents of Major American Jewish Organizations, Arthur Stark and Malcolm Hoenlein, said last week that they were deeply troubled by recent statements suggesting support for conditioning aid, which they said would reward those who are the true obstacles to progress towards peace, engage in terrorism, and deprive the Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank of the opportunities for a better life. They said a secure Israel and a strong U.S.-Israel relationship are vital to both countries, the region, and the prospects of a better future for all. 3 American Orthodox Jewish organizations are asking the U.S. administration to end parole conditions for Jonathan Pollard so that he can care for his wife who is ill. Pollard, who served 30 years of a life sentence for spying for Israel, said the restrictions of his parole, which include him being unable to leave his home after 7 p.m. and before 7 a.m., prevent him from being able to accompany his wife Esther, who is suffering from metastatic cancer, to appointments like chemotherapy. The Orthodox Union, Agudath Israel, and the Coalition for Jewish Values wrote separate letters this week to President Trump, asking for him to lift the parole conditions on humanitarian grounds. Israel's President Reuven Rivlin met today with leaders of the Anti-Defamation League, including its CEO, Jonathan Greenblatt, who are visiting Israel. Rivlin wrote on social media that recent events cause great concern and show anti-Semitism is still with us and is taking new and dangerous guises, thanking the organization for their work on behalf of Jewish communities around the world. Just ahead of the 81st anniversary of Kristallnacht this Saturday, Chairman of the Jewish Agency Isaac Herzog joined Berlin Rabbi Yitzhak Ehrenberg to remember the victims of the Holocaust. Kristallnacht, or the Night of Broken Glass, is viewed by many as the beginning of the Holocaust. On November the 9th and 10th of 1938, Jews were attacked, with an estimated 91 murdered. Storefronts of Jewish businesses and synagogues were damaged or destroyed across Germany and Austria, with tens of thousands of Jews arrested by the Nazis in the days following. The Jerusalem Post reports that Herzog and Ehrenberg lit a memorial candle and recited Kaddish at the Central Berlin Synagogue this morning, where Herzog spoke to the Jewish community about the rise of anti-Semitism in Germany and across Europe today. The Central Berlin Synagogue, by the way, was used by the Nazis to distribute the yellow stars of David, forced to be worn by Jews. Well, players for one of Brazil's most popular soccer teams commemorated Kristallnacht wearing yellow stars. When the Corinthians took the field last night in Sao Paulo, their jerseys had yellow stars of David embroidered on them. And a video in Portuguese about the team and the initiative to remember Kristallnacht was shown before the match. Many of the seats in the stadium also had yellow stars on them with the message, "A star not to forget." The jerseys, by the way, will be auctioned off and the funds donated to the Sao Paulo Holocaust Memorial, who was part sponsor of this remembrance initiative. Its director, Rabbi Tovi Whiteman, told JTA News, "In times of so much intolerance, hate speech, xenophobia, and racism, this initiative is an example of love for the other, of commitment among peoples and nations." Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Thursday, November the 7th at 7 o'clock, it's Talmud Study. At 8, Leonard Stein discusses the life and work of American Jewish Sephardic poetess Emma Lazarus. At 9, Mark Golub sits down with Cindy Gross on L'chaim. At 10, Yishai Fleischer shares the story of the Jewish community of Hebron. And coming up right after this newscast, it's Innovation Israel. And that's the JBS News Update for Thursday, November the 7th, 2019. I'm Teisha Bader.